And we'll say the pledge first and then do roll call. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Peterson here. Pavelski here.
Grosvenor here. That's it. Okay. I'm not aware of any citizens here or any correspondence, correct?
Correct.
So we need approval for our minutes from our July 20th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we have an approval.
Move to approve the voucher list.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, report on the water system performance.
Okay, this past month was challenging at the best with all the storms we had. Well, let me start off. The 25th of July, we had a 12-inch main break that caused us some grief. More or less a mainline trunk feeding 68th Street. And my men did a great job fixing it. It took us about 10 hours to get it back up and running, but at the end of the day, it was good. We probably lost about 1.4 million that day on that break. It was a 10-foot horizontal crack in a 12-inch pipe. 12-inch pipe.
We talked about that later. New business, modified.
The 28th, we filled both towers due to those pending storms coming in. Thought it was prudent to fill the towers a straight line up to 36 feet if we were going to take that head on. We did that a couple more times with the straight line winds coming in. The 3rd of August, we had a lateral repair on South Mission Drive, and that went splendid. We had very little damage to our equipment throughout these storms, just small ticky-tack relays, PLC rebooting and stuff like that. Due to the electric surges, powers, generators running. Longest we had a generator running was about 16 hours. Keep the Drexel Avenue booster station going. It's about the ramp up again. We've been slow. I got the message today, the email that our meters we ordered 2 months ago had shipped. So we'll be able to get a mailing out at the end of the week, and we should start back up on the change-out program. We had one fire hydrant hit this past month on Ryan Road, somewhat due to the construction projects going on, but it's pretty hard to put a finger on anybody who did it. We recovered it, and we'll repair it when they're out of the area. Preliminary water budget was finished and handed in. I got to thank Peggy and Paul for a lot of help adversing me through it. That should be ready. And that's about it. Any questions?
Question would be the one that was on a generator for the 16 hours. Was that natural gas generator?
It was.
Thank you. We're going to do unfinished business?
Yes, closed session.
Unfinished business, item A, wholesale public water supply to Franklin 2024. The board may enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 985(1)(e) to deliberate upon information, terms, and provisions of potential provision of public water supply to the city of Franklin as related to the city, Franklin Municipal Water Utility and its customers in 2024 and beyond, and the potential negotiation of terms thereto, including but not limited to potential amendments to the agreement for Oak Creek to provide water and wholesale to Franklin, potential agreement terms and alternate public water supply sources, including but not limited to the city of Milwaukee, Milwaukee Public Works, Milwaukee Water Works, financial analysis study of long-term water supply, and investing of bargaining reasons to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act upon such matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate. Is there a motion to do so?
Motion?
Second.
All those in favor, we've got to do this by roll call.
Peterson, aye.
Securian, aye.
Pavelski, aye.
Opener, aye. Okay, motion carried. Fellas, thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
The next item B, water tower design update.
You need to take any on what you discussed in closed session before you move on?
I think so.
No action.
No action needed.
All right, just so you know, we submitted the certificate of authority to PSC on July 30th. We've gotten one follow-up question. Well, actually, we've got two follow-up questions because the first question that we got, they wanted us to redact some information on the environmental study that we paid the DNR to do. Dan's shaking his head, so he's heard this song and dance before.
Say they talk to one another.
It seems like the craziest thing I ever heard in my life because it's a matter of public record, but species and the location and everything involved. The second thing that I have a call scheduled with Steve Kemna. It appears as though Steve Kemna, instead of Gustavo Uribe, is going to be our prime contact for the PSC. And he's requested additional information on the financing. You got the copy of that email. You sent it to Paul and Peggy. Paul and I talked this morning. Bob and I will be taking care of that tomorrow morning, hopefully.
Thank you. Figured you could.
I'm not going to call it misunderstanding, but there were two conflicting spreadsheets in some of the information that I sent over to Paul, and he grabbed the PDF and not the Excel. That's on me. But yeah, there was a spreadsheet that or a PDF that indicated 5.6 million versus the 7.1. 7.1. Probably shouldn't have been in there for anything other than comparison purposes, but there were some changes made to the design. That's the reason for the two. One of which is the use of the TideFlex mixing system. That's obviously an add-on beyond what CBI or McDermott had given us previously in terms of an estimate. Trying to think what the other one was. The spiral staircase. That's a huge add-on from what I've been told recently, to the tune of about $250,000. We may want to talk about that before we go to DNR for final approval on that, because I'm not sure. It's a nice arrangement. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not sure that it's worth $250,000, and that's what CBI is telling us right now. Made a follow-up phone call with Ben Callen, who's the environmental for utility projects. I'm awaiting a call back from him because shortly after, I believe, the last Board of Water Commissioners meeting, we had sent Ben information. He's never responded, so I don't know. I assume DNR's back in the office these days. I guess I don't know for sure.
I don't know.
But I have a pretty good rapport with Ben. I worked with him on some We Energies projects some years ago, so I anticipate that. When we have begun working with Mike and Dennis Sindrick on the electrical and telemetry portions, our goal is to have DNR plan and specs ready to go within the next 60 days. So we can get it approved so we can bid it out come spring or winter, January, February.
Did you get any feedback from the PSC on the timing of the application and the review of it?
Not at this point. I will ask Steve tomorrow during my conference call with him.
Can you alternate bid the price difference?
It would be fairly simple to do that. Because, yeah, you're exactly right. If we go, I keep thinking it's Landmark. Landmark, the other?
Landmark did call me.
Landmark called me today, too. So Landmark and CBI might have two completely different ideas of how they're going to do this thing. At the end of the day, it's going to be this thing. At the end of the day, it's going to be a composite tank with some sort of access up to. Yes, we could very, very easily, because that would be an alternative in our Schedule A.
Then you know what the dollars are.
So when would we bid it, you think?
Ready to go out to bid by Christmas, so we can receive bids toward the end of January, early February, and try and beat that first DOT letting that happens in mid-February, because that's when the contractors generally fill up with their work for. Now, obviously, the water tower is a specialized thing. The question becomes, are we going to break this into two contracts? Are we going to break it into a tower and a transmission main, which I think I would recommend. That way they're independent, but they have to work together. Alternatively, you could have a single prime, just put everything under. The tank's going to be the lion's share of the cost here.
I find it hard to believe, though, that you're going to have PSC approval by January.
Well, I'm traveling hopefully, Paul.
Goodbye.
I mean, there is legislation sitting out there right now. It says PSC is supposed to be taking action within 45 days. It's not approved, but it's up there for discussion. So they might be feeling the heat.
So just to remind everybody, there's not a water main in front of our site right now, so we would pick up a water main here roughly at St. Martin's and Lover's Lane. We'll continue up the east side of Lover's Lane. And I think it's about right here.
Yeah, it's just south of that driveway.
So, right there. And our site is, there's a church, Baptist church, there's a private lane here. We will have a driveway coming here for our town, right there.
You don't anticipate anybody intervening, do you?
I don't anticipate,
So then should.
you know, who would intervene. Bow Creek and Milwaukee have told us that we need more storage. Probably next spring, once we have a better idea how much this is going to cost, we will have to special assess these people for taking a water main past their property. So you may have one or two folks along the line that I can't imagine anyone would intervene. It's needed. There's engineering studies. I mean, we're shy of storage by any accounts. It's definitely not a luxury that we're not building storage for something we don't need. So that's my opinion.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, let's go to new business. Emergency repair replacement. Albert, 677 South 68th Street.
Mike mentioned that we have that. When the project happened, we went down and you'll see some pictures of the actual culvert pipe. It's a 54-inch culvert pipe in bad shape. And so we need to fix the culvert pipe while we're there. So we're going to Common Council tonight to ask for permission to fix the pipe. I think we're going to select this method that we're basically going to spray the inside of it, structural liner, concrete liner that gets sprayed on. And by doing that, we don't have to mess with anything else. But what that means is that the water department basically pay for all the other damages that was done. So we say the water department could be 28 and a half. These numbers are still in flux. They're still playing with different contractors to try to get the best price and the best method, but it's looking like it's going to be 25 grand or above. So we did take this to Board of Public Works to call an emergency, so we don't have to prepare the bid specs and go through all the bidding processes we're still on the fly here, trying to figure out how to best get this done quickly. And so we'd like a motion by the board to authorize us to proceed as needed, prepare and the yet to be known contractor to do some of the other things. Maybe one a sec, maybe.
Water main not repaired yet?
Patched, but it needs to be relocated, probably make sure it doesn't lay on
No,
the.
it is put together and the right, it is put together and the right, you gotta offset it. Fringe pipe is underneath the main. So,
Pretty much sitting on the pipe up.
So you're gonna offset it to underneath?
probably use the 22s, 22s over about 4 to 6 inches.
Okay. Is there an insurance claim here?
We have not ever done an insurance claim for something like this.
Damage caused by a water main?
That should be something we check into. Good idea.
Are we gonna?
Yes, and move approval.
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. There's no other business, so we need a motion for adjournment.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.